Interest rates, it's not a one size fits all, right? It depends on the loan product. It depends what the credit score is, what the down payment is. In some cases, it depends on the location. In general, rates are actually over the course of the last 2 months headed in the right direction.
I had heard that somebody had under 700 and couldn't go conventional. Why is that?
The reality is with loans, there's these guidelines that when people type into Google, they see what the minimum requirement is. For conventional, if you type in on Google, the minimum requirement credit score is 620. But in order for a 620 to get approved, you might need significant assets.
The Fed cut the rate. What does that mean?
It really just means that we're headed in a solid direction as far as inflation is
But what does it not mean?
It doesn't mean that mortgage rates are going to drop. Now, secondhand, it might in the long run, because if the Fed continues to decrease the rate, that means that inflation is headed in the right direction, which means that mortgage rates will soften. But the Fed rate is directly tied to consumer debt.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Making Money with Laura Sanders. And I am Laura Sanders. And I say that every week because I am Laura Sanders. Every week we talk about something that will help you make a little money, maybe even save a little money, or maybe just help you navigate this crazy little world that we live in. Today, we're here with exciting news because our sponsor, Max Fisch, is now with Revolution Mortgage.
Yes.
Did I get that right?
Revolution Mortgage it is.
Okay. And we are also here with the VP of Operations. This is his boss, but not his wife. This is his boss.
Yeah.
He's the boss. He just
He's
keeps
the boss.
she just keeps him in line so that everybody gets the service they deserve. Make sure that these mortgages go through, because in the end, this is our lives we're talking about, and it's important. You know, it's stressful.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of the biggest purchases anybody will ever make, right? Unless they buy a more expensive home, right?
Yeah,
and so it's just important that people feel comfortable with the process and the terms that they're getting. So,
Well, I'm going to ask the question that everybody asks. I'm sure every time you walk into a room, what's the one thing that people say to you?
what are rates looking like?
Yeah, what do rates look like? So tell me, what do rates look like?
Yeah, it's a hard question because interest rates, it's not a one size fits all, right? It depends on the loan product. It depends what the credit score is, what the down payment is. In some cases, it depends on the location, right? And so, in general, rates are actually over the course of the last 2 months headed in the right direction. They're for good credit, conventional, they're in the mid sixes, high sixes for maybe average credit. And when I say average credit, I mean somewhere between 680 and 720 would be considered average, right? Excellent credit would be 720 and above. And so that's what you're looking at for conventional, but FHA is always a little bit less. So FHA is in the high fives, low sixes. So that's kind of where rates are, but it's really hard to know. I always tell people it's really hard to know not being able to see anything or their financial picture or what that may
Everybody's
look like.
different.
Yeah, everybody's different as far as rates are concerned, but there are programs out there that can help, temporarily lower your rate. I know we've talked about that on the show, and different things that we can do to strategize to help ease that monthly payment shock.
Right.
So
I heard, and tell me if this is wrong, but I had heard that somebody had under 700 and couldn't go conventional. Why is that?
yeah, and that's a really good question. I could talk for a long time about that.
You got some time.
So the reality is with loans, there's these guidelines that when people type into Google, they see what the minimum requirement is. And so for conventional, if you type in on Google, the minimum requirement credit score is 620. But in order for a 620 to get approved, you might need significant assets.
Okay.
Right? Like money in the bank, left over after you purchase. You might need a significant down payment. And not all 620 credit score is the same, right? Somebody might have a 620 score because they had a few lates 3 years ago. Some might have a 620 credit score because they had a late yesterday.
Which
right?
sometimes can be fixed.
Which sometimes can be fixed, but my point is that not all 650 credit scores, 680 credit scores are equal, right? It's all about the credit history.
That's good to know.
Yeah,
and that's why they should call you.
It's important. It's super
so that
important.
you can say, let me look at your situation.
100%. Because if you look online, you're going to see, oh, I'm a first-time home buyer. I can put 3% down.
Yeah.
Oh, I have a 621 score. I can get a conventional. And then you put those two together and think that you could put 3% down and have a 621 score. Right? If the lower your score is closer to the minimum, the higher your down payment might need to be.
And higher your interest rate is.
And the higher the interest rate and mortgage insurance and so on and so forth.
Now, I have somebody that I do refer out for credit repair. Do you guys have somebody that you highly recommend?
Yeah, we've used a few different people, and it really depends on what their timetable is, right? There's somebody that does it very quickly.
Which is more money.
More expensive.
I'm sure.
Yeah, and then there's somebody that does it over a course of a period of time. But we can generally help and look at a credit score. And obviously we're not credit specialists, right? But we can generally help and look at a credit score and say, hey, if you pay down this certain amount of money, we can run a simulator and it shows, hey, your credit score is going to go from 685 to 730.
Right, because like for instance, I tell people, if you use your credit card every month to buy groceries and do things, get gas, right, and you only have $2,000 in credit line and you're using $1,500, you're wrecking your credit score every single month.
Yep.
So I tell people, like, you got to look at what your whole situation is, and that's what you guys can help them do.
Yep.
So
some of the easy ways to get your credit score up is just like you said, to make sure whatever your limit is, to not go over 50% of that.
Right, try to keep it under.
Yeah. So for example, if it's $10,000, then don't owe more than $5,000.
Right.
And some people
Or
say,
ask for an increase.
Some people say, well, I only owed $6,000 for a few days. Well, we never know when the credit bureaus are going to report something. So we could pull it 2 weeks later and it still shows that balance and your credit score's low.
Right.
Right? So that's why it's important to continue to monitor it and try your best not to go over that 50% ever.
Yeah. And I think sometimes looking at the whole situation and figuring out what you can do to fix it is a big deal too. I mean, I had a client that they're buying a condo. It was like $100,000, right? They go to apply to the association. When they moved from New Jersey to here, a bill got lost and it didn't get paid. So here it was late for a year. So when we saw they got denied by the association, went back and explained to the association, hey, now they paid it off. Their credit's where you need it to be.
Yeah.
Like, accidents happen. Can't you be understanding? Can't you listen? And so, so you're helping out every day. You're like in the crux of it while he's out there kissing babies, shaking hands, right?
Right.
Drinking with everybody, and you're like sober as can be. Just joking. Hello. Tell us, like, what's the biggest, like, situation that was just so, I can't say bad words, but it's like a poop show. Like, tell me, like, something, because, like, we're in this business and it's crazy.
There's been so many of that type. Trying to think of what the most recent one was that we dealt with.
We dealt with...
Oh, we just had one with tax transcripts. That one was a nightmare. We couldn't get that.
So what's going on?
Yeah,
so
tax transcripts are a
how
big
long is
deal.
that taking to get back? And I had that where I got that on a pre-approval, and they said, okay, we need a 45-day close because we're waiting on tax return scripts. And my client's like, well, I heard that they let go of all these people at the IRS, so I don't think you're going to get that back in 45 days. Is this true?
Too. We hear that too. It's way faster than that now. The turn time is 15 to 20 days usually. Sometimes they can pull them themselves in the IRS.gov, but they don't always accept them that way. So we just had one like that recently, and Max had to work some magic and flip the plan and flip the loan, and we end up getting it approved, and he closed a few weeks ago, so that was great.
But what was the problem? Just getting the transcripts?
We just couldn't get them from the IRS. It was just, they were backed up at that time, and the guy filed.
Was it like December?
A little bit. Yeah, it was about a month or two ago, and the guy filed a little late, and we just couldn't get them. And the IRS will not rush for anybody.
No.
Right, but it's funny because Lindsay is the person who runs everything behind the scenes and tries to, make sure that the client experience and the process is all buttoned up. But she's also the person that everybody hates because she's the one asking for the
I hear that. So not about you, but like in general, like when I hear somebody, they go, they asked me for this like 20 times. And it's like, yeah, but you crossed out your bank account numbers.
Right.
Like, it's almost like you got to say, do not cross out your bank account number.
You can say that, and they still cross out their bank account numbers.
Or page 6 of your bank statement that's blank and just says page 6. They're like, oh, you don't need that.
Yep.
Yeah. You're like, no, I need all pages.
You can say it. It's a tough job because you are the person that is asking for so much documentation.
Maybe you should do it via FaceTime and they see what you look like and they'll be like, yeah, it's great. Let's do this.
When I do,
Can I come to your office and bring them?
I do FaceTime calls a lot with my clients. I'll walk them through something. And it usually does actually.
Somebody just asked you to meet him at the airport.
They did.
What were you going to do? You're leaving your husband to go to the airport? What's going on?
for documents.
He said he was flying in and he had documents and he didn't feel comfortable faxing them or emailing them. Can I just meet him at the airport and pick them up? And I was like, I'm so sorry, but I'm not going to do that.
He was looking to kidnap you and take you to another place.
He's looking at my email signature like, ooh.
Yeah, I see that.
Too funny.
Yeah, you
That's
show
too funny.
the guns
No,
on your
I
husband, forget
interface-
about his. I mean, come on.
I interface a lot with the clients. It's important that you develop that relationship of trust immediately because
They are giving you personal
They're giving you
information.
personal information. I mean, I'm in their bank accounts a lot of times because they
They
can't
don't know how to
figure
do
out
it.
how to do it. They, first of all, takes them half an hour to reset their password because they don't know what that is because we all use Face ID for everything. And then once I get in, I can do in
Transfer to your
3
account.
minutes
Right, I can transfer
what-
your account whenever you want. I mean,
what they can do in 3 hours. So I'll be on the phone with them a lot while I'm doing it. So there's a lot of communication with the borrowers at all times and so I do
awesome.
that so that Max can go out and earn more business and meet new clients and meet new leads and everything like that. So I keep it all steady at the home front so that he can go do that.
or they can just look at you.
Well, really, it's important to kind of piggyback off of what you were saying because it is personal information, but
Yeah.
it's important to have somebody that, and it's rare, and that's why Lindsay's so great in our organization is because it's really important to have somebody that has patience but has tact, right, in the way that you're representing your company, but also presenting information to people because this is, we all have. I think, did you ever purchase a home before you got into the business?
Yes.
So I did too. And I just remember being like, why do they need any of that? I know Lindsay
the
did.
same.
Yeah, for me
and
it
why
was
do they need-
different. I have to tell you, it was a different world when I bought. So the first
Sure.
time I was a moron. No, I went out, I put a deposit down on a condo. By the way, you could actually buy a condo.
Yeah,
Didn't
sorry.
need to give all your kids blood types.
10-page
and-
questionnaire to go with it.
Right. Luckily, my mom helped me. Right. I was 20, and but my mom didn't even know I was doing it. And I came back, and my dad goes, "Who's giving you a mortgage?" I'm like, "What's a mortgage?" So we'll hear about that when we come back. We're going to go to commercial break, and we're going to talk a little bit more about what revolutionary mortgage can do for you. Revolution. I want a revolutionary. It's revolutionized.
Revolutionary.
We're going to bring
George
revolutionary.
Washington's running it.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Whether you're buying, selling, refinancing, or building your dream home, you have a lot riding on your loan specialist. Max Fisch, a top 1% mortgage loan officer in the nation, will give you a same-day qualifying quote. Max Fisch is committed to providing his customers with mortgage services that exceed their expectations, ensuring that you make the right choice for you and your family is his ultimate goal. Contact Max Fisch today at 954-729-6933 or max.fisch@nwmcorp.net.
At JK Closing Attorneys, we do all of the same things that a title company does, but with the benefits of being a law office. We can help with residential real estate, short sales, commercial real estate, refinances, 1031 exchanges, and FRIPTA withholding.
Contact JK Closing Attorneys today at 954-332-3111. Again, that is 954-332-3111.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Making Money with Laura Sanders, and I am your host, Laura Sanders. I am here today with Max, our sponsor for mortgages. I am here with Lindsay, his boss. No, I'm just kidding. He just keeps her in check. He just keeps him in check. They've now switched their company, and I want to find out, why for the change? What's the difference? What is the customer getting? Or is it just, is there better programs? What was the reason for the change?
Yeah, so we partnered with this company because, mainly because of their platform.
Okay.
It offered us the ability to really develop and create and acquire a better process.
Okay.
For scale, right? We wanted to reach more people in the community. We wanted to have access to more things. And it was really, owning Nationwide and where I was at was awesome for me and my business. But I don't think it was always the best for the people around me and in my company. And so, coming out of a year where, just to be transparent, coming out of a year where it was like a record year, right? Top, 50 individual loan officers in the country.
Yeah, crazy.
It was an incredible year, but what I realized was, in order to do that level of business, I had to be completely selfish. And what I did was I made a decision to say, hey, moving forward, this isn't going to all be about me, right? Like, how can I help people who are just starting in the loan world, just like I did 5 years ago, scale and get to a point to where I got to. And I couldn't do that with the resources that were available to me. So being able to partner with a company that provided those resources that I could help others grow their business was really what, where my heart was at that time.
Now, did Frank come over with you?
Oh, of course. I'm not letting that guy go.
Or is he not letting you go?
No, it's
Both.
Yeah, both.
Still never finished that whole, like, who looks better, who's hotter.
Yeah, we didn't see the.
Do we want to go old? Do we want to go young?
Everybody knows it was me. But Frank came. I mean, it was the same infrastructure, right? Like, Lindsay came over, wasn't going to let her leave. Frank came over, and it's the same company.
And now we have Jake.
Yeah, now we have Jake, and we were, again, those are the types of individuals that want to get into this business, and the barrier of entry is really hard, and unfortunately, there's a lot of high.
What's the world change?
Well, there's a lot of high producing loan officers don't want to take the time to coach and help other people grow their business. What they want to do is they want to hire people that help their business, right? Okay. And for me, it was, listen, I still want to be able to serve the community myself, but I also want to do it alongside of a company and a team.
You want to revolutionize the world.
And
the industry.
Geez, that works.
That
I
works.
like that. I'm going to cut that little snippet and put it on Instagram.
Max Fisch is revolutionizing the world in mortgage industry.
There you go.
And he's taking Lindsay with him.
There you go.
Get that, Mr. Boyd. Just kidding.
So yeah, that was a reason for the change, is just to be able to grow.
Okay. So the platform's better is basically what it boils down
Yeah,
to.
the platform's
Are the interest
better.
rates better? Because, listen, let's be fair with each other. Every mortgage company has different rates, different things. I had a guy the other day that said to me, hey, listen, I'll undercut anybody. And I'm like, okay, that doesn't mean that the service, like, I don't know what that means, right?
Yeah, our goal has always been to offer the lowest rate that we possibly can. I mean, that's why we were in the broker world for a long time.
Yeah.
Now what we did is we matched the rates that we had in the broker space, but now we have a lot more infrastructure, right? Like, our underwriter wakes up and what they do for every day is work on our loans.
Did you not have that before?
No, we had different avenues of underwriter, but in the broker space, you don't have one underwriter.
Oh, because you're basically brokering out the
Yeah,
loan.
so now we have
one person instead of you chasing over to a person that has a bad personality.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah,
we've got to know each
listen,
other.
but you don't get to pick that person. You could fire this person.
Yes.
Right.
This person, if you don't gel with this person, which I
Correct.
think is important,
it happens all the
right?
time. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but now you're in the broker world. You're going to the underwriter for X, Y, Z, A, B, C, and A and C might be jerks, and this one's a little difficult, or this one never answers their phone. And I could imagine, and listen, our assistants are like really like so important. So I could imagine that you stress, but in your head you're like, Lindsay's got this.
Yeah, always.
Right? Until
I
Lindsay
cast that
says,
on,
I ain't got
on
this.
her. Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, no,
So-
that's a good point. We learned how to navigate it, and we did it at a high clip. But it just, again, if I wanted to be in charge of something that was bigger than myself, we needed to make a change.
Right.
And so now we have an underwriter that works for us, a closer that works for us, and we strategically in processing. She runs our processing team, so we strategically chose people that work the same way that we do.
Very hard to find though.
So very hard to find, but that function outside of normal hours, that are quick, that understand our personal business and what we need, and that has been a huge tool for us in the way that we do business, because at its face value, when you're a broker, you always want, well, I would hope so, at least for myself, you always want your yes to be yes and your no to be no. But in the back of your head, even when you're super confident, yes, you're still really not sure, right? Like you're like
Interesting.
98%, 2%, right? Like because
But
you
a
don't-
direct, but
you
you're,
don't have
you're a
that level
direct
of
lender
control.
now, right? So you've basically, so what you're saying is you transition from being a mortgage broker to a direct lender.
But I still have broker capabilities if I need to.
Now, why
I
do
can
some
still-
direct lenders not have that capability anymore?
Some direct lenders don't allow people to broker
Why?
because they want everything written in house because that's how they make the most money.
I guess we probably can't give an example of who does it that way.
Yeah, I don't know specifically right off the top of my head, but I do know that we still have those capabilities. So
That's great.
it's kind of like we've created the best of both worlds, and I think that'll be good for our industry and our business moving forward.
All right, and while we're here, because we don't have much time left, let's talk about one more thing today before we go in mortgage industry. The Fed cut the rate. What does that mean?
Lindsay, you want to tell us?
Go ahead.
No, the Fed cutting the rate. It really just means that we're headed in a solid direction as far as inflation is
But
concerned.
what does it not mean?
It doesn't mean that mortgage rates are going to drop. Well, that's not what that means. Now, secondhand, it might in the long run, because if the Fed continues to decrease the rate, that means that inflation is headed in the right direction, which means that mortgage rates will soften. But the Fed rate is directly tied to consumer debt, which is like car loans, credit cards, HELOCs, right? And all of those different types of loans, but not mortgage rates specifically.
Right. And I guess there's so much that goes on in this whole situation. It's actually exhausting. Would you not say, Lindsay? I mean,
Some days are long, yes.
yeah. So what is it, while we have a minute left, tell us, what does an average day look like for you?
An average day looks like for me, it's changed a little bit since coming over to Revolution. I
Okay.
was processing and solely processing on my own for Max and his other LOs. Now I've hired a team of processors that I'm actively training and working alongside and helping and guiding, which Revolution allowed that platform, just like it allowed Max to branch out and do that for his LOs. I was also able to have the support staff to be able to hire my own processors, teach them and manage them to process the way that I did. So some of my day is training. I'm still processing. I'm still actively processing. I just am processing a little bit less than I was last year. So I would say I wake up and I immediately take my kids to school, jump on, barely ever eat breakfast, barely ever eat lunch, go to the
Oh,
car
wow.
line, get my kids, and usually work through baseball, some sports, extracurricular, but I spend a lot of my day working.
So do you work on the
team's very
weekends?
busy. I have tried really hard to separate the weekend from my family. If there's an emergency, if there's a phone call, I'll always take it, but I won't sign on and go a 12-hour day on a Saturday.
So your days are long.
They're long, 12-hour days usually.
You just make sure that the whole operation just continues to run.
Yeah.
Right.
And I know that Max has been on a Friday night. We've been on the phone at 9, 10 o'clock
Oh,
at
yeah,
night
yeah.
trying to get somebody
Yeah.
qualified. And then, you know,
We'll always do
they go to somebody for a little bit less. And then in the end, I try to explain to them, check your fees, check your
I know.
fees.
Her being here, we don't know. The office might be on fire. I mean, we've never been in the same place at the same time.
There's
I
a
don't know what we're
difference.
gonna
There's
do.
a difference between finding someone who works hard and someone like Max or I who takes total pride in what they do.
Right.
Like, I don't close deals for the paycheck. Max doesn't close deals for the paycheck. Part of that, of course,
I mean,
you
you
want
need to
income.
get paid.
You want
Yeah.
income. But the satisfaction and the pride you get in closing those difficult deals, we like geek out over it all the time because we're very similar.
Yeah,
So
yeah. We're weird
it's
like
a
that.
sense of accomplishment when you do those things and you help somebody get the house that
And
they
you guys have
never
known each
thought
other
they'd get.
forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, for over 20 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's old, though.
I am older than Max.
Substantially?
8 years.
Oh, okay. Oh, so. Oh, okay. No, I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure.
I was
But
like, oh,
hey.
you are old.
Well, I thought Steve was older, and I was like,
I'm also older than Steve.
Oh, really? Go, Steve. Okay, all right. So her husband owns a brokerage, but we're still going to say if you need the best realtor out there, you're going to call Laura Sanders from Remax Direct, and you can get me at 650-0827, or check me out on the web at laurasell.com. You can always check out my YouTube, and don't stalk me because I did have a stalker recently.
Oh.
But if you need a mortgage broker, how do they get you, Max?
Best way to reach me is by phone or text, 954-729-6933.
And if he doesn't answer, then you just call me, 954-232-3455.
But no stalkers. All right.
stalkers.
And thank you for listening to Making Money with Laura Sanders, and make it a great night.